Oh my God, Mitch, I'm sorry. I was just so surprised to see you standing there.
Not as surprised as I was.
You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at. You got that Baywatch podcast, that's where it's at.
CJ, it's beautiful up here. You're gonna love it, huh?
Yeah, it's beautiful, but I miss the beach. You should come back to Baywatch.
And we're back to the Bay.
Baywatch.
Baywatch. That's the name. That's how we distinguish it from the show with that, like,
Baywatch. It's like the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh.
Calling you out.
Which we're going to hear more about that.
We're going to talk about the ocean and all it means in this show, the character, etc.
But in the meantime, Bill, let me take you back to the very day that this episode aired. It was Friday, September 22nd, 1989. The U.S. president, of course, was George H.W. Bush.
I had just turned 1.
You had turned 1. I was 1, too. I was 1 also. And Margaret Thatcher was prime minister. Pope was St. John Paul II, who was ignoring large amounts of child abuse for the Catholic Church, as per the job's historical precedent. In that special week of September, people in the U.S. were listening to Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You by Milli Vanilli, which I only know now because of our recording this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know that one either.
I know. That's Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You.
That didn't stay
It didn't
on
stay
the
after I
hit
played
list.
it for you?
Or it didn't stay on the hit list, you know? It's not played on Coast anymore.
Conveniently, I know it's not, but the next episode, it's the same song. It ranged.
Still on
yep.
the hit? Wow.
Next week in the past, it was still doing shit. But, okay, so what else do I have to say about that time? Welcome Home was the film that was very popular at the time, directed by Franklin J. Schaffner. I don't know anything about it. That was the most viewed movie. And Clear and Present Danger by Tom Clancy was a best-selling book. On TV, people were watching Blackadder Goes Forth. Which I don't know anything about either.
Some British show, right?
Some British show, yeah. They should have been watching Baywatch. If you like video games, you're probably playing Final Lap Twin or All-Girl Wrestling Ultimate Angels.
All-girl wrestling, huh?
Yeah.
I could see that one being big.
Also, the IRA set off a bomb that killed 10 British Marines in Kent.
Oh, we still have the IRA going.
Yep.
Okay.
Irving Berlin dies. You know Irving Berlin? It's like an American songbook. You've heard a million of his songs.
Yes, yeah. He wrote like
dreaming of a white
yeah.
Christmas. There's more that I don't
Okay.
remember. But there's a lot. If I sang
it's
them,
Christmas
you'd know.
time now, so it's actually Christmas Eve as we record this podcast.
It is Christmas Eve. Yeah, that's true.
Interesting.
Merry Christmas, everyone, or just regular day to you.
It's probably not Christmas Eve now that you're listening to this, but if it happens to be, well, nice.
Yeah. Maybe play this again during every Christmas. Make it a tradition.
If it's not Christmas Eve when you're listening to it, you need to re-listen to it on Christmas Eve. All right, that being said.
The episode was directed by Peter Hunt, who died last year in April 2020. Complications from Parkinson's, not COVID.
Okay.
And he directed also Touched by an Angel and many episodes of our beloved Baywatch. But
Now that makes sense. I can see the Touched by the Angel kind of, that kind is the same like feel.
right, right.
Yeah, type
Dr.
of-
Quinn, Touched by an Angel.
TV drama, daytime drama.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
That same vibration or whatever. Of
Yeah.
energy. Hippie. Michael Burke and Douglas Schwartz. Those are the two writers besides our beloved Gregory.
Okay.
You know, who actually are writers. But they didn't really write much else. But one thing they did write is a show called Manimal. I asked Gil to best this. I asked Gil to best what this show was about before when I talked to you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you did, pretty much. So I'm not
It's
going to
pretty
ask you
easy to
again.
guess.
Yeah, Manimal. I'll give you, in the audience, take 3 seconds to guess what the show is and say it.
It's a man that can turn into an animal.
Bill told you. It is a man that can turn into an animal. It's like Animorphs. But I would like to read you guys the intro. Dr. Jonathan Chase. Wealthy, young, handsome. A man with the brightest of futures. A man with the darkest of pasts. From Africa's deepest recesses to the rarefied peaks of Tibet. Heir to his father's legacy and the world's darkest mysteries. Jonathan Chase, master of secrets that divide man from animal, animal from man. Manimal. That was their.
It says Manimal.
Then it says it, yeah.
In case you didn't catch
Yep.
where we're going.
And then some music comes in by Alan Silvestri of, I believe, Back to the Future fame.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the stage is set, Bill.
Okay, so it probably had a good score and sounds like not much else.
Yeah, it got canceled after like 8 episodes.
Okay.
But the go watch the trailer if you're curious because, it's
graphics are pretty timeless.
I mean, it's funny, but it looks good. And I think it was like Industrial Lights and Magic. Like, I think it was actually like a legit like effects company that was doing
So they actually
shit.
maybe tried so they actually had like some money behind it.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Was this after Baywatch?
Yeah, it was
So that's why. They were like, well, these guys did Baywatch.
Yeah.
Maybe
How about Animal?
And Animorphy. What is that? What was that?
Animorphs.
Animorphs is big, so yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah. Used to flip through that. I never read it, but
I never read them either, but I always did the little flip book at the corner to see the transformation.
Yeah. I was a regular like Great Gatsby with Animorphs because, I had a bunch, but
I didn't own any. I would just flip through others.
Okay. All right, well, let's get into the bay.
Yeah.
What is it called? What is this? The In Deep?
In Deep.
Woo!
I guess because I don't know what that means.
Well, a couple characters get in deep into some shit that they might not have wanted
some
to.
Deep
Hobie.
shit. Hobie gets into some
Guilty
deep
ass
shit.
Hobie.
So I guess this is Hobie, who we find out is annoying as fuck, and it kind of opens with him. We have, the kids now living with his dad, Mitch. Parents are divorced. We kind of established that in the pilot. And now we see that they are some messy bachelors.
That's the first thing we got to address in the episode. Yeah.
We have to learn. And it's we see it all laying about. It's very clearly established that it's a messy bachelor pad. But then in case you couldn't get that established clearly, they even say it like, this place is a mess.
Clean.
Like, we gotta clean. Well, what, Dad? We're young, single men. We're supposed to be messy. Exactly what he says. Like,
Yup.
so lame.
And we're going to find out that this is part of a narrative of, Mitch is no longer cool because he's not messy.
Right.
And doesn't just let Hobie do whatever the fuck he wants.
Right. He now has to be more of an authoritarian parent, has to set some boundaries and guidelines for his kid. And that's going to be, I think, an ongoing theme that we're going to see in this episode and in the future of their relationship in the show.
But Hobie doesn't give a fuck. He's just skipping school to go be a slave for these like jet ski guys that drink beer that he hangs out with for some reason.
Yeah. And then we get some shots, more music video shots with cool Sea-Doos. Of people on their jet skis and Sea-Doos.
Yeah, maybe jet skis are
and
going to become
they call them power skis for some reason.
They do.
I don't know why, but I never. Jet ski seems to be the more common.
Well, I think they were up and coming, at least in the States at this time, and I did a little bit of research, but I forgot to look at this again. Because we had to re-record this episode, guys. But it was Japan, I would say the 50s or the 60s.
Yeah, that's
these
what
things
I remember,
came out.
It was in Japan, in like the 50s and 60s.
And the first one was like a surfboard that you laid on.
Yeah.
Like that was like the prototype or whatever. And then flash to 1989 or whatever, they're becoming a problem on the Los Angeles coast.
Yeah.
Mitch doesn't like them. They're unlicensed riders.
And people, he thinks they're dangerous. People are, they could hit people. They're riding in no wake zones, etc. And these people who we meet riding the Sea-Doos are much older than Hobie. They're more like our age, possibly in their like late 20s.
Yeah.
Or
Somehow they met Hobie and are drinking beer with him on the jet skis.
Yeah.
And encouraging him to like do extremely dangerous shit.
Yeah, to
weave
through the pier post on a jet ski where he could crash and get severely injured.
Right. Where one of the guys even is like, I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah, one of the yeah, because the dynamic between these two guys who end up being the villains of the episode are like the one is just has no morals. He is just pure evil, black and white characters that we have in this show. He is just evil. Then you have the other one who's like has a little bit of a crisis of conscience at times, and he's the one who doesn't want to do the initial stunt on the Sea-Doos.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he's the one who's with our embodiment of evil when this guy lightly taps like a woman on a windsurfing apparatus.
Oh yeah, we want to jump to that.
I think so.
Okay, yeah. The other thing I was just gonna mention,
go
we
ahead.
see a couple more things. We do see like the Foster, our kid that we met.
Oh,
in the,
and the lawyer. Yeah, we have a couple things.
yeah, there's a few things we should talk about before we jump to the
Foster can't pay rent.
because really that's another thing about this episode is kind of weird. Like it was better than the pilot, but it still was like it took a while to get going. You weren't sure like the real like inciting incident didn't happen, which was what you were kind of
skipped to
jumping
it.
to.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
skipped to it, which was when the Sea-Doo guys like who are drinking beer and being a bad influence on Hobie.
Yeah.
And they're just wanting Hobie to hang out with him because they'll be his slave. He's like doing chores for them.
Right. Yeah, but the B story is Foster and the lawyer, right?
Yeah. So let's go to like they establish the B story a little bit. You see Foster's like living out of his like locker at the lifeguard tower.
Yeah.
And sleeping in the lifeguard tower. And and then you also see the lawyer lifeguard who we later learn is like named. He has a name.
Bill
I
wrote
don't
it down.
know.
I still don't know it.
Yeah, his name's Greg.
Oh, Greg. Really? Oh,
Yeah.
just like Greg.
Yeah, Craig or Greg.
And he is just blowing off.
He's blowing off
Work.
his depot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets a call. Hey, someone out you missing a depot. Don't worry about it. The tower needs. His typical thing like he did in the last pilot where he
Yeah.
missed the trial.
But I'm like, there better be some lawyer shit coming where we see him actually being a lawyer. Because
Yeah.
like, why remind us that
Right.
he's like a lawyer in a really like shitty way? Like, oh, he's a shitty
Right.
lawyer.
Let
me
he
remind
missed
you.
a depot.
Yeah, and then that's all we're ever gonna say this episode.
Yeah, about him being a lawyer. Oh, they do mention later when you see his apartment, and they're like, "How do you afford this?" Like, law school has its benefits,
Right.
Which we will talk about more in a second. But the other thing that you see too is you see the. Well, I thought at first my question, what I wrote on my notes was a black lifeguard. No way. Then, of course, no way. It was a cop.
Yep.
Who was for some reason on lifeguard like beach duty because he was punished.
Yeah, like he's like doing this beat because all the other cops are like, we don't like you.
Yeah.
So we're gonna send you off to the beach.
Which does not make any sense because that seems like that's the shift that like all
Everyone
the cops
would
would
want.
want to hang
Yeah.
out at the beach.
Hanging
and-
out with Hasselhoff. Come on.
Yeah.
And Hasselhoff and him have a nice little like, they kind of have like a back and forth between each other, you know? It's
Yeah, they have a little bit of a dynamic.
and it makes clear this episode that lifeguards are smarter than
Oh
cops.
yeah. The cops are dumb.
Yeah.
They also underestimate the lifeguards, and the lifeguards are just like the ones who actually get the job done.
Right.
And that's kind of we saw that the next episode too. That was the same thing, but with the firefighters.
This episode makes clear that if we defunded the police and and
And put that
overly
money
funded the
into
lifeguards,
yeah.
that they would be able to deduce all of these.
And same with probably
and
firefighting
Yep.
and most emergency services could be given to lifeguards.
Right?
'Cause, I mean, they are there to guard life.
Right.
Whether in all contexts.
Right.
So why not make them the ultimate people to help everyone?
Right.
Doctors even. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Lifeguards.
Yeah. All that doctor funding, just
Yeah.
take it away and give it to
Give
the
it to the
lifeguards.
lifeguards. I mean, and lawyering too. I mean, defending people's liberties and their lives, from
This show is just a slow transition of like everyone in the world
Becomes a
a lifeguard. Yeah. It's like the Borg.
That's the pitch of. So yeah, and then we see. Oh, Grandpa! I for some reason I have in my notes. I'm not. Grandpa lifeguard is Mitch's dad. I don't know.
There is an old guy. I don't think it's his dad.
Okay, yeah.
It's like a replacement for that old guy who had to die during the pilot.
And we
Like,
have a little bit more established of the will they, won't they between Barbie lifeguard, who's like little Shelly or little Shawnee, little Shawnee, and Foster. Yeah, the like one kid from like Penny, and that's also like he doesn't have a home. She tried to call him at the number that she gave
it's
him.
a pizza place.
Yeah, oh, my phone's broken. The guy said that I could use it.
Yeah.
What you call me for anyways? I wanted to go out to pizza with you.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. Okay, cute. All right. So, then we get a little bit of home time with Mitch and Hobie
But see,
again.
The inciting incident happens first. They killed her. They killed that poor woman, Bill.
Oh, you're right. I skipped that. That's at the bottom of my page.
I got
You're
there
right.
early,
Then-
and
yeah.
then-
So now we do have then the inciting incident where our jet ski bad guys are out in the ocean jet skiing around, drinking beer, being irresponsible. and they see some girl like I don't know what it's called.
She's
like-
windsurfing.
I guess windsurfing.
And they want to tease her, so they're circling around her very fast, creating like a whirlpool or something, right?
Yeah, it's like very unclear like what they're trying to do. They're like just trying to like fuck with her by like circling around her, and it is distressing her.
It is. She's looking around. I can't help. Like,
Yeah, and at first you're like a little confused, but then you're like, oh, because then like one of the waves makes the sea-doo kind of kick up.
it taps her.
And then the sea-doo taps her,
And-
but it seems like it does not tap her on the head. It's not clear
it
where
like
it
hits
hits
her like leg or her side or something.
It seems like it hits her leg or her side.
she
and
falls into the water, and there's red paint all over
yeah,
her
bright
windsurf
red
board
paint
and
ends up
on
all
the
over the
Sea-Doo.
surfboard.
and on the Sea-Doo
Yeah,
too.
the bad guys do try to their
Dive
credit,
down and get her.
dive down and find her.
She's
to
disappeared.
see where she is, but she's gone. She's just completely disappeared. They cannot find her.
Because we're being introduced, and we're going to talk to it more. But here's the introduction of
a
that. This
theory.
show has this character. Is one of my theories. Yeah, the ocean is a malevolent character. Maybe not malevolent, and
But
we just
it-
don't
it's just-
understand
yeah,
its
it
motives.
has its own motives.
But it is very powerful, and it can choose to kill you or let you live.
yeah,
And it chose to kill this. Once you become submerged, you are now the ocean's prerogative of whether or not you live or die.
and that's why so many people become unconscious all the
Right.
time.
It's not drowning. You just go underwater and you're dead.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends on how the ocean wants to treat you.
Right.
Sometimes it will say we'll see in the next episode how it kind of saved that little boy, let the other little boy saved him and kept him afloat because
Right.
it wanted those boys to go through that struggle and have that life lesson.
Right.
So sometimes it like is trying to teach the other characters a lesson, I think the ocean.
And I think I can distill it, like my point or whatever is that like we know that this ocean does not operate in the same way that the real ocean does, because you can go underwater in the real ocean and not lose consciousness.
Right.
You can dive in, So we know that this ocean is written this way, and
Right.
and we're positing that it's being written intentionally as a character. Which might just be a fun exercise as we continue this show that is maybe not that well written.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
it is like the smoke monster on Lost in a way,
Yeah.
but it's much more maybe better written.
Yeah,
because
Damon.
you don't notice it so much. It's like it's more subtle.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not.
People
okay.
would have been much happier with this ending probably if you treated
Yeah.
the show a little more like Baywatch.
There should have been a Hawaii version of Lost, definitely.
But Bill, before we get into that, let me do an ad break.
okay, go
we,
ahead.
we don't have any sponsors yet, but if you want to, let us know. And hey, Popeyes, I saw your commercial.
It was pretty good. We could do one.
It showed
Even?
me some chicken nuggets, Bill. It showed me some mac and cheese, separate
Ooh,
plates,
Which
right?
one would you?
That's what
that's
it
a
said.
tough choice.
What do you want? And then it said,
I want both.
put them together on the same plate. Now you don't have to choose.
Holy fuck!
Who the fuck ever was bothered by that dilemma, though? That I need to either choose between mac and cheese or fucking nuggets. What? It's just such a weirdly contrived problem.
Did they ever have? Wait, this is Popeyes.
It's Popeyes.
Did they have mac and cheese before?
I think they're introducing mac and cheese. That's why, right?
Mm.
But the way it's phrased is that all these humans are running around with this dilemma of like, man, I had to make this choice today, mac and cheese or fucking chicken nuggets, and I just can't.
I'm trying to think if I've ever had to make that choice, and I want to say no.
Right?
And I think it's because at most places that I go, they don't have those two things as options.
Right.
You either have a place that has mac and cheese as an option, but they don't have nuggets.
Right.
Or they'll have nuggets as an option, but they're not going to have mac and cheese.
Right.
Few places will have both maybe KFC.
See, but how you're presenting it, too, it does present a dilemma, but I think it's a false dilemma because if you wanted to have mac and cheese and chicken nuggets,
I could just go to both.
you could do it. It's not
Or
that hard.
I could do it at home.
You
most
could make
definitely.
it. You could go to a place that might have both. You know what I mean? Like, it's not this huge crisis, And yet Popeyes is presenting it as this solution to this
Right.
earth-shattering problem,
But there could be a family where, like, you got two kids, and one of your kids like mac and cheese, and other
Yeah.
one's like chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
Now as a parent, hey, I just saw that Popeyes commercial.
Right.
We're gonna go to Popeyes, kids.
In a sense, I'm being insensitive to the potential of that family out there.
I think you're ignoring that potential family and the father who just saw that Popeyes commercial, and now he's very relieved that he knows exactly where to go.
Well, I'm going to take this opportunity as a learning experience because we are a woke podcast. So I'm going to learn, Bill. You're right. I'm going to be more sympathetic to people out there who might have families that just want nuggets and Mac.
Yeah, because it's hard to raise a family, Drew. And that you could be a single dad, just like Mitch, to get back to the show. And we saw Mitch then after the girl was killed. We then like, kind of go back to Mitch and Hobie at home, and they're cooking dinner, playing a little bit of meatball basketball.
Meatball basketball.
Throwing the meatball onto the skillet, which would flatten the meatball.
Right.
And then also if they miss, then they were out a meatball, and a big meatball.
And Mitch says that too.
Yeah.
He's like, it's a good thing you made that because we don't have any more more food.
No extra meat.
Yeah.
And they're just throwing from a distance.
Yeah. They must have had like, I bet there were some dinners in the past where they just had to eat like dirty meatball. You know?
Oh yeah.
Maybe this
and
is a
I'm sure that
recurring
wasn't
event.
the first. I'm sure they did a few takes of that too.
Oh God.
And it was classic divorce kid moment, you know, where he's trying to play off both of his parents to get what he wants. And then you learn that when he was married, when Mitch was quite the shitty father, he basically acknowledges like, oh, I let your mom like do all of the like disciplining
And
and
child
all,
rearing
Yeah.
and feeding. And
homework and doctor's appointments, and I just took you to the beach.
Because that's where I worked. And just,
I was basically a workaholic.
and I just go jet ski and kill people. That's okay. Yeah.
And now I want like 50-50 custody of you while I continue just to take you to the beach and not supervise you while I'm off working.
Yeah. And to be fair, like Mitch is pretty sympathetic to like that Hobie is probably going to be experiencing the difficulty of his shift, you know? I feel like Mitch is pretty understanding. Like, I know I
Yeah.
used to be like the cool guy and
Yeah.
buddy, now I got to be
We have to
dad.
work on homework, and you have to get to bed. And why aren't you going to summer school?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's
I
kind of
thought you were
shitty. Like
going.
they go too hard on like that you just used to be a shit dad, Mitch.
Yeah,
You don't have to go that far.
It was a little like, whoa, you were a really shitty. No wonder your wife divorced you,
Yeah.
dude. It was like not making him all that sympathetic.
Yeah, like
There's,
I kind of
there are so many
feel like
moments
maybe he should go with
throughout
the mom.
few episodes I've seen where it's like, man, they're making these characters like you hate the lawyer because he's a shitty fucking lawyer to his clients.
Right.
Like, you hate this like guy because he's like a shitty dad and husband.
Yeah, Hobie keeps lying and being a shitty asshole kid.
kid.
And then at the end of it all, they just are not mad at each other anymore at the end of the
Yeah,
episode.
and that's how
that's
it's
the only
happy.
thing that feels good about us, you know? But if you really sit down and think about it, you want maybe Hobie needs to go with the mom. And Mitch should just, I don't know, learn some responsibility.
Right. Or
And maybe that's what it needs. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, maybe Mitch needs to say like, no, Hobie, we do need to put you in this after school thing that your mom wants you to do.
Yeah.
Because you can't just be bumming around the beach all the time with these
Yeah.
older kids.
And I have no ability. I obviously am not responsible enough to like look out for you. I'm losing you every episode.
literally every episode. It is. So far. Okay. And then we see, to get back to the B plot, then we have to revisit that. We see somebody's asleep in one of the lifeguard towers. And of course, we know it's going to be Foster, our troubled lifeguard, young lifeguard.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's in there. And lawyer guard, Gary or Craig or Greg finds him and is like, hey, are you homeless? And he's like, come on, my friend's a realtor. We'll help you find a place. Like, you have a job, you can afford it. So then they go to his lawyer guard's place.
And I'm not sure, but I think he lives in Venice.
Yeah, it's
because
what
he's like, have you ever been to Venice?
Yeah, I
Like
think.
it's kind of a wacky place, you know?
Yeah,
And then when they
I
cut,
did say that.
and then when they cut the song, legit is like Venice is a crazy place, and
A
it's like,
funky, like little
Funky.
island.
and it's just so on the nose. It's like they had the line, and now that line is in the song about illustrating Venice is a crazy place.
And then
while
we get
cut
another
to different
our
shots
third
of
musical montage
skateboarders
because
and
there's
shit.
always 3 musical montages in the episode.
yeah.
And then it's skateboarders.
I just can't believe
the
that this
Venice
was like
boardwalk.
acceptable and like passable. Like, you know what I mean? It's just so kitschy and schlocky.
Yeah. And then it was just beach life montage.
Yeah.
and then they go
We
into
see
Lawyer
his-
Guard's house, which is this super dope ass loft
With
and
like
his-
this weird space that you can access like through a window and a ladder.
Yeah.
That's like
Right. And then there's like upstairsy area that his wife has her
Gina.
paintings. Gina, that's her name.
Gina. Yeah, I know that name for some reason.
Right, I
And
think
she's a
you're right.
painter.
Yeah. And they ask him, like, how can you afford this place? And he says, law school has its perks.
Right.
So that kind of implies that, you couldn't afford that place if, didn't go to law school. That he can only afford that place because he went to law school, and that's why he had to
Right.
go to law school, because he couldn't actually like really support himself and live comfortably out in L.A.
Right.
as just a lifeguard. Somehow Mitch can, but
With a much better property, too.
yeah, on a regular house on a
Lawyer guy has lawyer income and lifeguard income. He's living in this like artist loft
yeah,
in Venice.
it's nice and expensive, I'm sure.
Yeah. But Mitch is living on the water in some undisclosed
Like
location that's
home.
not even on the beach,
in like
but there's
a
boats.
2-bedroom home or something.
Yeah.
with like a lake on his front porch.
And all he is a lifeguard. And I'm pretty sure we bring up in the next episode that we recorded before this the salary, which is like it's
Yeah.
not a living.
No, it's not. It's like 30,000.
It's not even a living salary, but
No.
let alone live
It's
on the
like-
coast.
Oh yeah, no, it's like you could barely eke by a 1-bed or a studio apartment, like
Yeah.
which is what Foster starts looking at, because even he's like, well,
can't
no, I
afford
can't afford
studio.
this, I can't afford that, I can't even afford a big studio. So for some, they acknowledge in some aspects, because it's like they have to, or it serves the story that they're telling to like have this obstacle. But like
Not
other
for
times, it's
some
like, no,
characters.
we don't want this obstacle.
Yeah. Only for some characters.
Yeah, for poor kid who's in and out of foster care his whole life.
Yeah.
We need this. This is a good obstacle and challenge for him.
Well, in a way, then the show kind of operates a little bit like reality, where it's like, the poorer, more traumatized,
Yeah.
less privileged members of society have
Right.
more obstacles to face.
Yeah.
Like,
and money is one.
Money,
So it's just
rent.
we don't want Mitch. He's supposed to be like the everyman. His obstacle is fatherhood. Yeah. It can't be money. Yeah. That's only Foster's obstacle. So Foster ends up then ultimately renting like a unit from the lawyer guard.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like this weird connected unit
Yeah.
through his window up a ladder.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, so he rents that place. He's like, it's a tiny place, but he thinks it's perfect and whatever. So I just can't stand Foster. He's just an annoying ass character.
And at this point, Bill, because it's in my notes at this point, I don't know what you're going to say next, but it's time for another commercial break.
Okay, what is it?
Because Bill has the good
I pay
Hulu.
an extra $3 a month. I skip the ads.
And I pay less for commercials because I like it. Not really. But so here there's two this time, Bill. Wendy's fries are preferred 2-1 to Mickey D's. And like someone was canvassing? Like, you know what I mean? Like someone was out there like collecting this data, first of all.
Pure
Is it-
research.
I want to know if it's made up. Do you think it's made up?
I
Like,
think
Can anyone say that? Like, you're a lawyer adjacent person. Tell me.
I think it would not be very hard for them to survey like 50 people 100 times. 150.
You're right.
Do that survey 100 times with random people, and you find one that
Well,
does
because you
that.
could do two. You could do another survey that finds the opposite, right? But
Exactly.
my question is like, is there any like? Can you just like say, oh, like without doing any survey, can you just like make a commercial like this is the world's best coffee?
Yeah, that's fine.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's I
And
forget-
everyone agrees.
Yeah, no, it's been a long time since I took IP law, but there's a thing. There's like a term for it in law where
Yeah.
it's like, that's
people,
okay.
Because on the same way, like, and I don't know about the law
It's like
side of
it's
it,
called like you're being hyperbolic. and-
Hyperbolic, yeah.
It's like that's fine.
because
yeah, we
people know when
Yeah.
they see that sign.
Exactly. That's
that-
not a guarantee.
Yeah, or they know that it's probably just a sign. Like
Right.
it has no real connection to the quality of the coffee.
Exactly. That's what they mean. Like it's known that that's not. Any reasonable person would know that you're not making a guarantee that this is the world's best coffee, or that this is proven to be by some source the world's best coffee. That this is just hyperbolic selling language. They
Which
call it
then-
puffing.
Puffing? Okay.
Puffing is a term. Like you're puffing up the good.
Which then for me just begs the question, like, why not just get a sign that says just coffee? You know what I mean? It's like more electricity to pay for the sign that says world's best coffee neon
Right.
light, Just why? No one believes you. Why
that's
pay for
why
the
some
extra
people
letters? Just coffee.
Well, that's why some places are like that.
Yeah, you're right.
And they try to do different things, and I don't know. I remember talking to this ad person, and she was all like, "Yeah, you can't say like this or like nobody." It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking advertising. Fuck it.
I got my dad a mug and it just says dad.
That's good. I got a mug and
Father.
a candle
A
for
father.
Secret Santa, and it just said B on it.
B. Yeah. All right, let's go back. Oh no, Bill, there's one more commercial. Okay, let me take you into the situation. It's a man and wife. They're on date night, right?
Okay.
They walk into a Little Caesars because they want a $5 pie for their date night, right?
So they've been dating for a while.
They've been dating for a while, dude. Yeah, and they're rich. That's why they're going in to get a $5 pie. So like they go in and they're looking at each other, fawning over each other, but the wife turns and sees Little Caesar of Little Caesar's Pizza, the cartoon,
The
Roman
little-
dude with the leaf.
Right,
Roman,
and the
right?
little
Yeah,
belly. Yeah.
He's got his little staff. And she is looking at him like he's a piece of delicious pizza, like, ooh, and the husband's getting jealous. The husband is so jealous. It's our date night, and I just want to get some pizza for us. And now I'm about to get cucked by the Little Caesars guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it was just like, buy our pizza. Like, there was no resolution. Like, she remained.
It seems like it's only appealing to half of the population.
I guess women.
Yeah, because why would
Who
I
want to-
I'm not going to Little Caesars now. I'm going to Domino's, where like there's no anthropomorph. There's no character. There's
That's
no
gonna steal my
humanistic- yeah.
lover.
The Domino isn't gonna steal it.
Yeah. Well, I'm polyamorous, so I'm open to having
you're a
a
little
relationship with Little Caesar.
Oh.
So for me, I'm like, I want to get my partner Vanessa over there, so the three of us can do a little
I'm cool
gangbang.
with that. I'm cool with that.
Not really, but yeah, it's weird. It's just a
Yeah.
weird commercial because it didn't. I was like, oh, that's weird. Like,
Now Papa John's, that would make more sense.
Yeah, 'cause-
Although Papa John's is like, he looks like Papa John,
yeah, but you know that phenomenon in commercials where it's like they're trying to be funny and they're just being weird,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, dude, like you're not Tim Heidecker.
Well, that's why they like some places hired Tim and Eric
To
to
make
do
commercials. Which just if anyone's
It's so weird.
Yeah, you can go watch. They're doing a talk. This is dumb. Now I'm just going to gush about that. They're doing a talk in a couple days on Zoom about they're going to review all their commercial work,
Oh,
and
wow.
they're going to just be together talking about it.
That would be
And
interesting.
everyone watches it.
I would like to see
Well, we can do that
We'll have
together.
to remember to tune in for that.
Anyway,
Okay,
that
so
might
back
get
to
edited out.
Baywatch.
No, I'm going to leave that in there so people fucking discover Tim Heidecker.
Yeah. Okay. Listen to this on Christmas Eve and watch some Tim Heidecker.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
why we made this Baywatch podcast.
Watch some Tim Heidecker commercials and listen to this on Christmas Eve. All right, so
I'm done with commercials.
Finally, we get back to our plot. So now they notice the missing girl. Now that's become
They find her body. They find her body.
They find her body. They find the board that she was windsurfing on.
And they start scoping out different jet skis because they could. I feel
Well,
like they can, the paint,
first let's look. Let's go back because
Okay.
they investigate the scene,
Yeah.
and that's when it's like becomes clear that the lifeguards are the experts here and that the cops are inept.
You're right.
Because it's like, oh, black cops like thinking something, I forget, and then lifeguards are like, oh no, it looks like it's Sea-Doo. Here's like this, and then here's some blood here, but it's like that's not really all that. How would it be a Sea-Doo? And then they thought that it was red paint from the Sea-Doo. I think was that it?
No,
Like,
I
how
think
did
you're
they
just
know it was
remembering
a
that I
Sea-Doo?
think it looks like red paint.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
think
supposed
that's
to be
what
blood.
it is. But how did they guess that it was a Sea-Doo?
No, there was a paint residue from
The
okay.
Sea-Doo.
Let me just break it down really quickly.
Okay.
There are two things that happen. On the windsurfing board when the girl gets hit, there's like dripping like bright red, like apple red paint that looks like nobody's blood. And that is supposed to be blood in the narrative, right? And then when they find the windsurfing board, there's like paint scuffed on it. And that red paint
It's a Sea-Doo.
is a Sea-Doo. And I'm making the distinction because I'm not being confused about what's blood and what's paint. They just had shitty blood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's how they investigate. Like, oh, we got to find this Sea-Doo because there's some scuff on it,
Right.
on the board,
Right, and that was what and they're talking about like the speed that it was traveling or something. Like, and the lifeguards are like going through this, like
Right.
doing this playing detective,
Right.
and the cops all like, "Ooh, I'm impressed," and I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
man.
I have a feeling that they're gonna become family.
Yeah,
after a while.
and then they get some testing. Oh, they test the paint chippings or the paint
I
at
don't
the.
remember that.
I think that they do some. The cop takes something to go get tested at like the crime lab, and it confirms like something.
Okay,
Like I don't know. It's been a while since we watched this one because we had to re-record it, but
and we weren't too eager to rewatch it. So.
no.
Hopefully they get better.
But anyway, so then like they're off to try to find these Sea-Doo. Someone with a red Sea-Doo is the suspect.
And Hobie's clued in because he sees them doing their investigation, and he's like, "Oh shit, they're looking for a Sea-Doo."
a red sea-doo.
Meanwhile, Hobie's been like skipping out on summer school and telling his dad he's been going, but he's been going and sea-dooing, even though his dad doesn't approve of it.
Yep, and hanging out doing his
And
jet
so now
ski.
Hobie's kind of on his own investigation.
And
like,
he's kind of curious, is this guy who I've been hanging out with the suspect? Because he has a red jet ski.
And he seems like an asshole.
Yeah.
And I would know because I'm Hobie. I'm an asshole.
Yeah. So he then is like going over to hang out with them after he learns and go over to see them, our two villains.
Who live in like this weird cage under a pier.
They don't live there. That's
that's just
like,
their hangout?
That's just like where they hang out and drink beer and like leave their
Okay.
sea-doos,
Okay.
and park their sea-doos.
Like somehow no one's ever disturbed that. No police have ever come and taken all their shit out.
Maybe
It's
they
just,
lock it. I don't know.
it's just a weird hangout.
Yeah, it's like this cage underneath like a pier, like, yeah.
But
it's
they're
like-
not even there. Oh,
yeah.
and
Oh, well,
to illustrate what you were saying before about how they're just like shamelessly telling us that this villain is evil, like they go so far out of their way because like the guy who was second guessing,
he's having a crisis of
Oh,
conscience.
God, I
They're
have a
looking
crisis of
for
conscience.
that girl.
and the other guy says, "Don't be distraught about having been involved in a murder because if you're at all distraught, people are gonna find out." Like he's not even saying like I get it, like I know, like let's
No,
cover up our
yeah.
ass. He's like saying don't be sad.
Yeah, you
Like, you
can't.
know, like-
You gotta act normal. Like we can't act like upset about this.
Yeah, and don't even have those feelings.
Yeah.
like just and it's like what?
Yeah,
Like,
he's like, I feel so bad. Yeah, and he's just like, yeah, our guy is just showing no remorse. The other guy, just
Yeah.
pure evil.
yeah,
And then Hobie like overhears them having that type of discussion.
yes.
And then
And he sees the jet ski with
sees-
the red.
Yeah, with the
paint.
red paint scuff mark. And so then Hobie puts two and two together, and then they see Hobie, and then they know that Hobie overheard them. So then they're after Hobie, and it looks like they're gonna kill him. They capture him, they tie him up
And I was saying,
underneath
please
their
kill him.
layer.
Please kill him. And bring the woman back. Come on, Ocean.
Yep. And then they go, he's the one. And then later on, like somehow, I forget now how, but then like Hobie escapes.
Well, because the other guy, he finally
Oh!
redeems himself.
Yeah,
the
other guy,
the good guy.
the guy, he has that.
He
has
holds
that
down
moment
the evil man.
where he like tackles the evil guy who's about to
Run,
hurt Hobie,
Hobie!
and then Hobie runs and escapes.
on the jet ski.
Yeah, on the jet ski.
Poetic.
Yeah,
The same jet ski that was involved in the murder.
and then he gets his dad.
Well,
and
his
then-
dad's hunting.
Oh yeah, his dad is like
Looking-
looking for the jet. So anyway, and for Hobie.
Like, look, there's
So
someone on a jet ski. That's
then-
the one that matches
yeah,
the description.
And then it turns
It's
out to be
Hobie.
Hobie. Yeah,
and then the other guy's chasing Hobie.
Yeah, and then Hobie yells,
guy.
"That's the guy! Let's get him!" And then they all say, "Let's get him!" And then they all chase him on the boat. And then there's this chase scene. Then they get off onto shore. Then Mitch like chases him down, jumps on him, and then I guess because the sand is connected to the ocean, he also just goes unconscious.
They're not on the shore at first, though, because when Mitch jumps from the
is he
boat
on
to the
the-
jet ski, they're on the water.
Oh, you're right. He jumps from on the jet ski. You're
Yeah.
right. So, and then he goes unconscious in the water.
Well, there's a few things. Let's go back, right?
Yeah.
Because, the chase is happening. I think Hobie's safe on the boat, and
Yeah.
they know that that's the evil jet ski man.
and then they're chasing him on the boat.
And they're chasing on the boat, and Mitch is like, the only way I can get him is if I jump from the boat to tackle him mid-chase.
Yeah,
And
because
so-
he's like about to go somewhere where like the boat can't go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you ain't going to have your fucking lead actor do that shit and get hurt.
Oh yeah.
You ain't that. We're not insured for that shit.
Yeah.
So what do? They got this stunt man, but they got the shittiest stunt man because Hasselhoff jumps. You see the stunt man, and he pops back up in the water with no hair on his head. He's bald. Hasselhoff's stunt double is a bald man. Like I don't know how anyone missed that in the editing, but it happened. Go look.
Yeah, it is really strange.
And as Bill said, like the guy goes underwater and just immediately becomes unconscious because the water has a mystical power in this show. And it can choose whether or not it wants to render you unconscious, dead, or alive. I mean, it can resurrect.
It can pull you down, bring you up. It can do whatever it wants. And this one, it just wanted to make him unconscious, let Mitch grab him and pull him ashore.
Yep.
And then he could be done. We don't have to worry about anymore. It's just end of the episode. They don't even like really handcuff him. I don't remember. I feel like
I don't remember what happens. Yeah. I don't
It's
even know if
almost-
he ever wakes up.
No, it's almost just like, all right, now he's just passed out on the beach. And then they just walk off and like, man, Dad, I'm so sorry. I'll never bother you about sea-doos again. Like,
And Mitch,
I should've-
I'll be Mitch.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, don't worry, son. Like, next time I'll be open-minded if you want to bring up jet skis again.
Oh, don't worry about that. I'm done with jet skis, Dad. Now I'm on to hang gliding.
Oh, freeze frame. Rock and roll, 80s music, neon colors.
Oh, my God.
And that's the end of the... It's so schlocky.
It is horribly schlocky.
That's the end.
It's better than the pilot.
Yeah.
It at least had a story and a villain. Sea-Doo guys, I guess, and Sea-Doos.
Yeah.
Next week's episode, hang gliders.
Hang glider, yeah.
I don't
Look forward to that.
Yeah. One episode will be about hang gliders and
Yeah.
how dangerous they are.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Windsurfers, whatnot. I don't know. I mean, remember you got that, I remember, now we're done with the episode. Remember you got, for your birthday or Christmas or one of those things, I think it was your birthday, you got that fancy kite
Yeah.
that's like massive and you have to hold on to it with
Yeah.
both hands. And like, I was thinking about like, because can't you like take that out on like a board on like the beach and like go
Oh.
surfing with it? Where like you're holding onto the kite and you're kite surfing.
It's kind of like parasailing.
Yeah, it
but
is like
you're
parasailing, but I think it's
doing
called
it on,
kite
like, a board.
surfing.
Is that a thing? I didn't know
think,
about that.
I
That
think
sounds
it's called
cool.
kite surfing.
Wow,
Yeah,
that sounds cool.
and like you have
Scary.
a board like just like that. Yeah, like parasailing, but yeah, on a. So like I
It's
think
like it's like a regular kiting on land, but you're just flying a kite on a board on the water.
yeah,
and so it's moving
and
you
your
around.
board's strapped into your feet. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. What's that called when you do it behind a boat?
Parasailing.
Is that parasailing?
Yeah, because you're in. Well, you're on the parachute though. I'm thinking of that's different.
Yeah,
that's when
that's
you're
different.
flying up.
Yeah. Wakeboarding, I think, is what I'm thinking.
You're thinking
of.
about yeah.
Wakeboarding. Yeah, it's
'cause
like
the boat's pulling you as opposed to the wind.
yeah. And then you're on the board and you're like surfing the wake of the boat.
Yeah.
But like this is like where you're like you're like on a wakeboard, but you're holding on to like a kite and you're like surfing with the kite. And I was thinking about how like that could be fucking scary as fuck if like all of a sudden a big gust of wind takes you and you're now off. What if it pulls you out of the water?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you're just floating because your sister told me a story about how
About
that
those
happened
kites,
to somebody
yeah.
with
They
that
were
those
stuck.
kites.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
They
got
went in the air and they were stuck.
yeah, and they got stuck up in the air and flown all over.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I've like tried to hold on to my pull-up bar for like over a minute. And
Yeah.
after about the minute, I went to this place and I actually did the challenge. I was at this place and we might end up cutting all this. This is now a really long story. So that was the end of the podcast episode. Baywatch. Join us next week.
So you just leave
I'll tell you the story
everyone
later.
hanging, yeah. Like
I leave everyone hanging about my story about how I
About
had to
hanging.
hang.
oh.
But
I'm an easy laugh. I laugh at that.
It will be in the extra bonus.
This is for the patrons.
Yeah. But in case you don't want to get to it, join us next week for Heat Wave, episode 2 of Baywatch.
And for those of you who are really committed, here's the story.
Yeah, so I went to this spy like museum in DC, and it was actually kind of lame. It wasn't that interesting of a museum, but they had like all these little interactive things you could do, and like one of them was like, all right, test your like ability to like your physical strength as a spy, because there's like all these like different test your spy ability things, and one of them was like physical strength, and it was like the scenario where like you had to hang outside of a windowsill to like evade, like to listen in on someone.
Yeah.
And like, so it was like, get on this thing and hold on to this thing and hang there.
See how long you
Yeah,
can.
how long
or-
can you hang there? And if you can hang for a minute, then like
Heard a minute of conversation.
Yeah, that was the goal. The goal was to get past the minute mark, you know?
Yeah.
And like all these people were trying it and like everyone was failing like around like 30 seconds or 20 seconds. And I was like, I bet you I'll be able to do this because I do so many pull-ups.
Yeah.
And it was tough because the thing was really long, or like the thing was really big, and like it wasn't like a pull-up bar. You could squeeze it like that.
Yeah.
And it was like more like that, so you had to hook it around.
Muscle
Yeah.
engagement was different.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And I hooked like that, and then it would shake.
Oh.
It would just like periodically shake to fuck with you. And then it would shake more towards the end. And then I just started slipping. And it was a slipping thing more than like a strength. And I was like pulling myself up, but I
What windowsill does that?
moves.
Yeah.
I know.
My first question.
But anyways, I did get
That's
it.
how they train you to really hold the window, because it's not going to do
Well,
that. So
yeah,
if you do that, you're
can
going
do
to
it
be even
Exactly. That's maybe just a training technique
Yeah.
for spies. But I did make it to the minute mark, and everybody was very impressed. And even the person there was like, wow, almost nobody ever does it. I was like,
better. Did they take you into a back room?
Good,
And they're like,
great
now
strength.
that we've seen that, would you like a job?
The CIA.
This is how we field candidates, like at this little museum.
At this little
the
spy
windowsill.
museum.
Well, that was a good story.
Yeah, but I forgot because I was thinking if I have an extraordinary grip strength and I can only last for 1 minute, how did this regular old kite going guy be able to be dragged away? Your sister said he was in the air for like a half an hour. That's when I was like, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I don't believe it because I'm like, he would have fallen to his death.
Yeah. And I don't know about that, but I did see this other video, and I think this person was strapped in, and it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because if you have straps, because like there are sometimes I'll do that with pull-ups because I don't want my grip strength to be an issue.
Right.
Or with
it
other
just,
like
kind of supports you.
Well, with deadlifts, you have to do it almost because you can't lift that.
But
much.
too, maybe there's like if you're in a if you're on a kite like and you go up there, like maybe your adrenaline, you're like fuck,
Yeah.
maybe you're just like I'm gripping.
Well, and he could have maybe pulled himself up like
something.
Well, because there's the bar, that he has, so he could have maybe pulled himself up so he's hanging like
On
with
his
his
pits.
elbows on his pits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen that video of like there's this parasailer? It's another. Now we're on this like
This tangent.
this weird theme of.
That's why I wanted to end the episode.
But I'm gonna continue it.
Oh yeah.
Just with this only. This,
No, well,
this
we've
is
already
short.
ended the episode.
Yeah, we've already ended it.
Now this is the bonus.
This is bonus, yeah. Which is going to be included in the full episode. But there's a parasailer, right? And you see, and someone's filming them like from their hotel, like they're on the bay. Like, oh look, that person's parasailing, and it's like really windy. It's like, woo, 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 and you see snap, the cord breaks or whatever, and the person just goes right. And then like this video has been curated. Somebody made it. I saw on Reddit, right? And it's like, okay, then that video cuts, and it's like someone else, like from another part of like the city,
Catching that same parasailer.
just like way up, And then you see like 2 or 3 more videos of like different angles of like different people in the city who had seen it. And then like the last video is just like it cuts kind of like an abrupt cut. It cuts to like this tree.
I was gonna say them hanging somewhere.
Yeah, and they're just in the tree, and you see their legs wiggling, and it's a lighthearted video because they don't get hurt.
Right.
But it's like, wow, imagine that.
Do you remember?
And we couldn't ever have anything like that in another time other than ours.
Oh,
where everyone has their
right,
you don't have their phone to film that.
Right. Speaking of another time, though, do you remember? So I always remember because like I grew up watching like The Simpsons and King of the Hill,
Yes.
and I'll always remember this episode of King of the Hill where Bill, I think it's Bill who comes up with the idea, but like it was one where like Bill, Dale, and Boomhauer like have a crazy side plot adventure, and it is that they are going to strap a whole bunch of balloons to a lawn chair and then float up above like they're in their own like hot air lawn chair balloon.
Yeah.
Like, but not hot air, just balloon chair.
Yeah.
And like float above the city. And there's the whole episode is about that, and it doesn't go well, and like Bill ends up like way down there driving, and he ends up like in this tree and like that. But like then I found out later, I was listening to that podcast, The Dollop or Daily Dollop or whatever, The Dollop, and they did an episode about the real life story that inspired that in the 90s.
And there's a movie about it too.
Yeah, that's I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like guy really
In a
did
lawn chair.
Yeah, in a lawn chair.
Yeah.
It's like what fucking craziness.
Like we have other things we want to do.
lived.
We want to spend time watching Baywatch.
Talking about it. Yeah, I guess you're right. What like we're just wasting our life watching Baywatch. This guy's at least like wants to go on an adventure in a lawn chair.
Yeah. So on that note, just stop listening to this podcast. Stop watching Baywatch. Go out and put some balloons
onto your chair.
Yeah.
Go see the world that way,
Go
not
see
through
it.
a screen.
Yeah. It's
All
free.
right. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We love you guys.
Oh, sir. Just one more thing.
At Baywatching P on Twitter, at Baywatching Podcast on Instagram. Bye.